If you're a socially awkward introvert, listen and see if the following scenario sounds familiar to you. Maybe you're at the park, on the way back home from school, or heading to work, and you saw the back view of someone familiar in front of you in a distance. You know that you'll eventually bump into that familiar person since you are both heading in the same direction. In that moment of realization, you either change direction or walk slower, just so you can avoid them whilst praying they haven't noticed you. Sounds familiar? For me, that was a very common scenario ever since I was a kid. Being an introvert, I enjoy being alone, doing the things that I enjoy, or spending time with a very small group of really close friends. However, being in a public school in Singapore, or anywhere else in the world actually, it doesn't help the younger me when I'm constantly surrounded by so many other people both in class and even on the way to the toilet. Every day after school, instead of taking the bus back home, where I'll most likely bump into people I know, I would walk 40 minutes back home. The weather was hot and I'm drenched in sweat, but I was happy being alone to my own thoughts. Being that kid that's always avoidant of social situations exacerbated my social awkwardness when I do inevitably bump into someone I know. I remember there was this one time when I was heading back home from school. I decided to take the bus because the weather was outrageously hot that day. Yup, that's Singapore, man. I walked towards the bus stop slowly, hoping that there wouldn't be anyone I know there. When I didn't recognize anyone, I was quite relieved. While waiting at the bus stop, I suddenly heard my name from behind me. It was my classmate. The very fact that I wasn't that close with him started stressing me out. Being in a conversation with at least one more other person would have been less stressful, as I could always play the listener role and just listen. But this time, it's just me and him. No one else is going to talk for me. My mind starts going on overdrive, thinking of what to say or to talk about, what he thinks of me, or whether he thinks I'm awkward or not. Because of that, I wasn't able to be truly present, and the whole ride back home was torturous, or at least that's what I felt. Every awkward silence that we experienced was like a knife stabbing me in my gut, shaming me for creating this awkward atmosphere. I was constantly thinking whether he thinks I'm awkward and can't wait for me to get off the bus, in which I eventually did. I couldn't stand the awkwardness anymore, and I just disembarked the bus and walked the rest of the way home. That was one of the final times I ever took the bus home when I was still in high school. Over the years, I have been through many situations to fight my social awkwardness, or rather, I was simply throwing myself into them because I was tired of being that awkward kid that couldn't hold a conversation. I watched various YouTube videos, read various books, and most importantly, just putting myself out there and implementing what I've learned. One of the biggest driving forces that pushed me to this extreme was this one time when a girl literally told me I was awkward right in front of me. Funny how most men change the most when it comes to girls, but well, it did, and I was eventually able to overcome my social anxiety, which was pretty much the main cause of my social awkwardness. I was able to make new friends, enjoy social gatherings much more, and most importantly, met the girl of my dreams, which 100% wouldn't have been possible if I was still that shy, awkward kid. However, even till this day, I still do have the habit of avoiding potential social encounters if I saw someone familiar in a distance. At this point, I just enjoy being alone, that's all. There's nothing wrong with the other person, but after working at my corporate job for some time and only making social connections with people in the office, which are a far cry from the genuine connections that we used to make back in school due to office politics, a part of me forgot what it's like to actually try and make a genuine connection with someone, to get to know each other for who they are and just be a normal friend without thinking of any political repercussions. As years go by, genuine social connections were rare, and was probably even more so when I intentionally avoid them like the plague. Until recently, I was out on my evening jog and I saw a familiar face that I've not seen in years running towards me. We waved to each other as we ran past one another. Moments later, as I was finishing my run, I saw my friend's back view in the distance, walking, probably finished with his run too. As I was slowly running towards him, a few thoughts came to my mind. I could either make a detour and avoid a potential social encounter, or just go up to him and say hi. The younger me would have took the first choice and made a detour, but the present me decided to make a different choice today. I didn't think of what to say or what topics to talk about. I decided not to overthink it. I just ran and stopped beside him, said hi, and allowed the present moment to do its thing. In that moment, I wouldn't have expected what would have happened after. We had a great conversation, catching up on everything ever since we last saw each other, and even decided to walk a little more. And with that, an additional hour was added to my planned workout without me realizing. In the subsequent hours after we part ways and even till the next day, I was still thinking about how pleasant that catch-up was. And it kind of made me wonder how many of such moments I have avoided throughout my life with the excuse of being an introvert that enjoys being alone. The younger me gave myself the identity of a socially awkward individual and deemed all social encounters to be bad due to my lack of social skills. Even after getting better over the years at socializing, I was still avoidant of such encounters, saying how much I enjoy being alone. But when I just don't overthink it and gave myself that chance to get out of my comfort zone and let life do its thing, I feel like I'm giving myself that opportunity to experience happiness from something that used to bring me pain and nightmares. If you're a socially awkward person, please don't think it's something that you're born with or it's something you can never overcome. Oftentimes, it's the environment that shaped us to become become that person. If you acknowledge that, you can pretty much see what needs to be changed and simply do the opposite if you are genuinely keen in changing. I used to be socially awkward because I'm always spending my time tucked away in my room playing video games or watching anime instead of going out there to experience life. One of the many reasons why I enjoy watching anime back then was because it allows me to indulge in that fantasy of being that courageous main character that somehow always knows what to say, landing him in an unbelievably unrealistic harem situation. But then came the realization that I could be like that main character, be courageous, stepping out of my comfort zone to embark on new adventures, that is, life, leveling myself up, which is to gain more experience and knowledge, and meet more people. I can overcome my social anxiety and awkwardness, and it begins simply with that decision to change. If you have made it until here in this video, I hope you can do me this one favor. I'm not asking you to subscribe or like this video, but of course, it would be great if you do. All I ask is if you see someone familiar outside and you have that strong urge to avoid them, give yourself and that person a chance. Just say hi, and if nothing much came out of it, you can take it as working on your social muscle. If it does, you'll be glad that you didn't take that detour.